Let us now move on to discuss another class of compounds, a very important class of compounds, the bahuvrihi compounds. These compounds are used quite widely in the language, and oftentimes there is a question as to whether a particular compound is a tatpurusha compound or a bahuvrihi compound. For example, take my own name, Satishaha. At first glance, it looks like a very straightforward Shashti tatpurushaha. Satyaha Ishaha. Satyaha means Parvatyaha Ishaha, Lord of Parvati, consort of Parvati, meaning Shankaraha. But it could also be looked upon as a bahuvrihi compound. Sati Isha Yasyasaha, one whose ruler or master is Sati. So it gives a completely different meaning. In this case, what happens is that Sati becomes the master and the entire compound refers to the one, Shankaraha, who's ruled over by Sati. So you see, it's very important to know the distinction between a tatpurusha compound and a bahuvrihi compound. The same compound we looked upon as tatpurusha or as a bahuvrihi. We already know that a tatpurusha compound is uttara pada pradhanaha, which means that the dominant member of tatpurusha compound is generally the final member of the compound. Coming back to the example of Satishaha, as a tatpurusha compound, the dominant member is Ishaha, the lord or master of Sati, of Parvati. So Sati or Parvati is secondary and the dominant member is Ishaha. But a bahuvrihi compound is anya pada pradhanaha. That's the trademark of a bahuvrihi compound. Very, very important point. The dominant member of a bahuvrihi compound is outside the compound. So if we take Sati Ishaha as a bahuvrihi, Sati Isha Yasya Saha, then we see that there is no word in the compound which is directly pointing to Shankaraha. The two words which compose the compound are Sati and Isha. They are both pointing to Parvati. But the meaning of the compound is Sati Isha Yasya Saha, one whose master is Parvati. So the compound refers to someone who is not directly referred to by the words present in the compound. Another example which my teacher used to give was Lamba Karanam Anaya. Bring a person who has long ears. If you don't know bahuvrihi compounds and if you just hear someone say Lamba Karanam Anaya, you might think that is a tatpurusha compound. Then the meaning would be bring the long ear. You actually go and bring the ear and not the person who has the ear. So the joke is that if a person doesn't know bahuvrihi compounds, hears this command, then he would actually go and cut a long ear and bring the ear rather than the person who has the long ears. Now we also have these compounds in the English language. For example, when we say red head, we mean a woman who has a red head. We don't mean the head itself, but the person who has a red head. Similarly, when we say blue collar worker, we are talking about the person who has the blue collar and not the blue collar itself. In contrast, when we say blue bird, that is a karmadharya compound, which as we know is a special category of a tatpurusha compound. So a blue bird is referring to the bird itself and blue is simply qualifying the bird. So blue collar is a bahuvrihi compound while blue bird is a karmadharya compound, which is a subset of tatpurusha compounds. So it depends on the intention of the speaker. Which meaning does he or she want to convey by the compound? The speaker may want to convey a tatpurusha meaning or a bahuvrihi meaning. We have to be well aware of these options. Okay, with that small introduction, let us now turn our attention to the section in the Ashtadhyayi which prescribes bahuvrihi compounds. As we already know, compounds are prescribed in the Ashtadhyayi in the first two quarters of the second chapter. Within that, we also know that from 2.1.2.2 down to 2.2.2.2 is a section where tatpurusha compounds are prescribed. Immediately following that section is where bahuvrihi compounds are prescribed. The section for bahuvrihi compounds runs down from 2.2.23 to 2.2.28. It's a very small section of 6 rules only. Let us begin by taking a look at the first rule in this section. It is a Adhikara Sutram. Adhikara Sutram means it sets the topic heading. Sutram is 2223. Shesho bahuvrihi. Vritti says Adhikaro yam prag dvandvat. So this is a governing rule, Adhikara Sutram, which exerts its influence from here down to the Sutram 2228, Tena Saheti Tulya Yoge, which is prior to Charthe Dvandvaha. That's why the Vritti says Prag Dvandvat. So prior to 2229 means down to 2228. The Vritti further says Vitiya Shritatita Ityadina Yasya Trikasya Subvibhaktehe Vishishya Samaso Noktaha Sa Sheshaha Prathamantam Mityarthaha. We know what Sheshaha means. Sheshaha means remainder, other than what has been already said. So what does it mean in the current context? The word Sheshaha, meaning remainder, used in this sutram refers to that triad, a group of three, meaning singular, dual and plural sup endings, whose compounding has not been specifically prescribed by the preceding rules, namely 2124, Vitiya, Shritatita, etc., 2130, Tritiya, Tatkritarthena, Gunavachanena, 2136, Chaturthi, Tadarthartha, Bali, Hita, Sukha, Rakshitaihi, 2137, Panchami, Bhayena, 228, Shashthi, and 2140, Saptami, Shaundaihi, etc. Since compounding has been prescribed by the preceding rules for all triads except the nominative, the word Sheshaha used here stands for a compound composed of words ending in the nominative case, Prathamantam. Note here says that even though Karmadhareha compounds are composed of words ending in the nominative case, they are not prescribed by the specific mention of Prathama, and hence they do not count towards determining Sheshaha. So the meaning of this sutram becomes a compound that is composed of words ending in the nominative case is designated as Bahuvrihi. And as already mentioned, it does not include the Karmadhareha compounds, which even though they are composed of words ending in the nominative case, they are not prescribed by the specific mention of Prathama. One more note here says that even though the Saunaga Vartikam under the sutram 2218 Ku Gati Pradayaha, the Vartikam which reads Pradayo Gatadyarthe Prathamaya, does prescribe compounding with a word ending in the nominative case, it does not count towards determining Sheshaha because it is a Vartikam and not a Sutram in the Ashtadhyayi. Remember, the Vartikani is a later addition to the Ashtadhyayi. So when the Ashtadhyayi talks about Sheshaha, we cannot include what is prescribed by a Vartikam. The next note here says that the words ending in the nominative case which compose a Bahuvrihi compound have Samanadhikaranam, common locus. There are some exceptions to this which we will see later on, but as a general rule, the members of a Bahuvrihi compound refer to the same person or thing. For example, Sati, Isha, Yasyasaha. Sati and Isha are referring to the same goddess, in this case Parvati. So the constituent members of a Bahuvrihi compound, which as we know end in the nominative case, they all refer to the same person or thing. They have Samanadhikaranam, the same locus. Next note here says that as per the Mahabhashyam, a Bahuvrihi compound is said to be a Tadguna Samvijnana Bahuvrihi if that which is denoted by the compound also includes that which is denoted by the constituent members of the compound. For example, when we say Lamba Karanam Anaya, bring the man who has long ears, the man is brought along with his long ears. On the other hand, when we say Drishta Samudram Anaya, bring the man who has seen the sea, the man is brought, but of course we cannot bring the sea. Hence Lambakarnaha is a Tadguna Samvijnana Bahuvrihi, while Drishta Samudraha is a Atadguna Samvijnana Bahuvrihi. This is the way the Mahabhashyam classifies Bahuvrihi compounds into two classes, the Tadguna Samvijnana Bahuvrihi and the Atadguna Samvijnana Bahuvrihi.